Hi there, I'm Anna Vagan, and I'm here with a sneak peek of the speaker paths in the expanded version of the Conversation Paths Pack coming out in August of 2021. The Conversation Paths originated because I wanted to develop a semi-structured way for students to practice conversation, a way that wouldn't deviate and get rid of the spontaneity, which is what makes a conversation flow and makes a conversation real. But the paths allow some structure to that so that students can explore and strengthen their skills on all the different pieces of conversation. The two speaker paths are the ones that were in the original version, and the expanded version will give you those 34 paths plus an additional 30 new paths. The two speaker paths are a great place to start so students can learn how the paths work and become comfortable with all of the different pieces, the different components that make a rich conversation. The paths start out rather simply and then they get more complicated. What you see in this simple path is the cue cards at the bottom that are there if your students need them. But if they don't, you could just click on the box, the cue card, and delete the ones that your speakers don't need. The circles are what you will drag and drop to show students which color they're going to be responsible for. Here's a more sophisticated path. You can see it's a little bit longer. There are more cue cards, again, that you can delete if you don't need. And again, there are 30 new paths for two speakers. I had a lot of requests to make 3 and 4 speaker paths, and so there are 15 3-speaker paths in the expanded version. Again, there's another color, that means another speaker, so they're a little bit more complicated in that there's more to follow along. There's more to process, and there's more to track. But they're also, I think, a lot more fun. Again, they start rather simply, and then they become more sophisticated. In the 4 speaker paths, it's pretty much the same format. These, I think, are the most fun of all, because even if students end up going down a dead end where they have to start over, they're usually laughing and enjoying it, and that's what we really, really want. Here's an example of a simpler path and a more sophisticated one. I think what the greatest thing about the conversation paths is that they support spontaneity and flexibility. You know, what makes a conversation real is the organic nature, the unexpectedness of it, that we really never know quite what the other person will say. So we always have to be flexible and ready to think on our feet. Again, that's what makes a conversation real, and that's what we want students to be practicing. So I hope you experiment with some of these paths. As a reminder, the Conversation Paths Pack expanded version is coming out next month. There will be more sneak peeks to tell you little bits and pieces of what else is included, because there's a lot more. There's going to be video tutorials. There's a whole section on rubrics and goals and tracking progress. There's even information about evidence-based practice and working with the core curriculum standards. We know how those are very important in tying in with our goals and our progress tracking. So I hope you stay tuned to further sneak peeks. Thanks for viewing.